Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this quick webinar on AI-driven FP&A leadership. So when we talk about AI, of course, it is changing the way we work, but there are two different angles to AI. One is the executioner angle, where we are thinking about AI, how it can uh, how it can help our lives as an FP&A analyst. Okay, but there is also a leadership angle, where how we need to now start thinking as leaders how AI is going to impact our company, our teams, our systems, right? That is what is AI-driven FP&A leadership. So in this quick session today, so we will explore both the angles of thinking like an individual and also as a leader, what are some of the steps that you need to take to be ready for AI-driven FP&A. So we'll start by understanding how AI is impacting FP&A, how AI is going to change the FP&A role in the coming months. What are the different levels of AI? Right. So AI and automation has been existing from since some time now. So what are the different levels of AI before AI became mainstream? And then the four pillars of AI-driven FP&A. What are these four pillars, or what are these true core four things that are required for AI to be successful in FP&A? So those are the four pillars of AI-driven FP&A. And then finally, we'll end with some Q&A as well. Okay, it's going to be an exciting presentation. I'll give you some frameworks and also show you a couple of use cases of how you can use AI in your FP&A function. There is also a bonus which I will share in the very end. I will share with you a course pack of 20 use cases of using Claude inside Excel specifically for FP&A. So it has all the practice data sets, the prompts, and the video trainings as well. So I'm going to share that as a special bonus only if you all stay till the very end. Okay, so all in all, it's going to be an exciting 45 to 60 minutes. So let's get started. Uh, my name is Dhawal Parvatikar. I'm a qualified chartered accountant. Over the last 16 years, I've worked as a CFO and a finance leader in India and across the Middle East. I'm now the co-founder and lead faculty at FP&A Professionals Institute. I've mentored thousands of finance professionals. I've been actively training since 2018, and I've trained more than 5,000 students on various topics like FP&A, budgeting, forecasting, management reporting, AI for finance and FP, CFO leadership, CFO coaching, and much more. You will frequently see me in events across the Middle East, either as a host or a moderator or a panelist. You will frequently see me in some of the other events across the Middle East. My co-founder Asif Masani, again, chartered accountant with close to 15 plus years experience, specifically in FP&A, worked with large banks, a celebrated author as well. Has written 3 books in FP&A, and you will often see his videos on Claude inside FP&A as well. The bonus pack that I meant to share at the end of the session today is prepared completely by him. So together we started FPI somewhere at the end of 2022, early 2023, and over the last 3 years we have trained more than 6,000 students on various programs that you see on the screen. FP&A Masterclass being our beginner to intermediate level course, and CGFPA is our 6 month flagship certification, which covers nearly everything that you can imagine under the FP&A umbrella. Okay, so yeah, the certified global FP&A program, which has more than 25 case studies, 50 plus examples. We cover all the tools as well. So Saturday, there is a core modules track, and Sunday there's a tools track. So we're covering all the latest data analytics tools and AI tools for you to get ready as a future ready FP&A professional. Okay, so that's the CGFPA program for you. So let's get started with today's session. How should CFOs or FP&A leaders plan for AI adoption? I get asked by FP&A leaders and CFOs every now and then, where should I start? Before even asking where should I start, the most funny question that I always get is, which tool do I use in FP&A? So when we are thinking as leaders about AI adoption in FP&A, first thing that we need to keep in mind is that AI is not a tool. It is not as simple as buying a tool subscription and everything will get automated and everything magically is going to work out on its own, right? It is not like that. AI is a transformation journey. It has multiple different kind of use cases, from automation to autonomous intelligence, and we look at those in the subsequent slides. But first of all, let us all imprint this in our mind that AI is not a tool. So stop asking and thinking about AI in terms of tools only. It's going to be an IT adoption journey. So it's going to be a journey which will change the way organizations are going to function, the business processes are being executed, all of that will change with AI adoption. Okay. So with that context in mind, I want to share the four different levels of AI. See, automation existed even before the AI wave out there. So from automation to autonomous intelligence, there are four different levels of AI. The first one is robotic process automation. So this is where your rule-based and repetitive stuff gets automated, right? Automated data entry, report generation. I was talking to an insurance company CFO a couple of years ago, and they had successfully implemented RPA to automate 80% of the insurance process claims in their company. Only 20% are actually done by manual assessors. So that is RPA. Wherever you have to follow certain set of rules, RPA works the best for you to automate stuff. Then comes machine learning. Machine learning is where you have large sets of data, historical data, and you want the machine to predict the future by reading that historical data. So that is where pattern recognition, predictive analytics, all of these come under the machine learning space. Some of the use cases are revenue forecasting, right? So, for example, I was recently talking to a healthcare CFO, okay, and they have implemented machine learning to predict their revenue. Like, for example, on an average, let's say if me as a patient, right, if I visited clinic 4 times for some illness, right, chances are that next year also I might visit at least 2 or 3 times, possibly. Yeah. So the machine is able to recognize your past healthcare data or your clinic visits, and then they are able to predict your visits and your average revenue as well. Okay, so that is what is machine learning, where you want it to learn some patterns and then predict your future outcomes as well. Now, generative AI is where your content creation happens. It is where the system understands natural language and you can create either a variance commentary or a presentation or scenario planning or whatever, or even a brainstorming with the machine as well. Right. So this is your classic chat GPT, your Claude, which is helping you create stuff by talking and understanding natural language. So that's your generative AI. And then comes agentic AI. Now, agentic AI is where autonomous decision making will happen, right? So the agent is able to understand the situation and act like a human, react like a human. Okay, so that is where agentic AI comes in. For example, uh, I recently attended a conference where an AI agent autonomously called a real estate prospect. It understood their requirements, whether they want a 1 bedroom or a 2 bedroom or whatever, and then suggested some options and also booked a viewing in one of the apartment complexes, all on its own, right? So that's an AI agent, a sales AI agent or a calling agent. Similarly, if AI can call and close real estate deals, if AI can drive cars autonomously, definitely it can pass some debits and credits, right? So that's where agentic AI will come into play. In fact, in one of the other conferences that I'd attended, there somebody presented a vision called the one person CFO's office. So there's a CFO sitting on top, and below the CFO, there are no employees. There are only AI agents. Right? Again, that's a bold vision. Are we there yet? Not really. But probably in a couple of years, we might be there. So these are the four different levels of AI. So you don't need generative AI or agentic AI everywhere. Okay. Sometimes robotic process automation and machine learning will also do the job for you, okay, depending on the requirement on the use case. So these are the four different levels of AI. Now, how is AI impacting FP&A specifically, right? How is FP&A going to change after AI coming into place? So the classic FP&A role today has a lot of manual extraction, reconciliation, and data validation, right? So there are multiple systems, your ERP, CRM systems, often multiple ERPs, right? Your supply chain, general ledger, you have an intercompany tool. So there are hundreds of different kind of tools that a large company is using, and all involve manual data extraction, endless loop of VLOOKUPs and you're running queries to consolidate them, and then finally, you come up with your Excel models, which are often static models, which means that if you want to change some metric in that Excel, you do all that cycle again. So this is how largely the traditional FP&A has been. But with the advent of data analytics, with the development of AI tools, the traditional FP&A will now be no longer looking like this. In the agentic AI space, the AI-enabled FP&A function will focus on unified intelligence, real-time processing. So this is where a unified data lake and AI integration step comes into play. If you look at this graph here, right? So you will understand that there could be multiple scenarios like your ERPs, your CRM, your HRMS tools and everything. And all of them through APIs will be connected to a unified data lake. Okay. And then on top of that, you can put AI engines, you can put machine learning engines, and then they'll give you real-time dashboards, they'll give you predictive analytics, they'll give you certain decision-making reports as well. So that is how the future of P&A is going to look like, which will be AI enabled, especially with the data lake and integration. So that's about a little bit about traditional uh, FP&A function and AI enabled FP&A function. Let's quickly look at some of the agentic AI use cases. I want to show you a couple of small use cases just to give you a quick glimpse of how your FP&A role is going to change in the coming days. So let's get started with that. Let me quickly stop sharing my screen and bring up the tool. So the use cases that I'm going to show, we will be doing it in a tool called Manus AI. Okay. So Manus is again a Chinese tool, but again now acquired by Meta. Okay. So Manus is probably your closest experience to agentic AI. Again, this is a classic. The window and everything looks pretty much like ChatGPT. You can do a lot of things with this. The backend of Manus, the models which are used are Claude and a Chinese model called Gwen. So both of them are actually powering Manus. Okay, and this is pretty much like a Claude, but I slightly felt some advanced features in Manus which I have been using as well. So I want to show you quickly two use cases for Manus AI. Okay, so first one is building a revenue variance presentation. Okay, so I'm going to first show you the data set of what data set I used. So again, focus on the screen now. So I hope you are all able to see my Excel sheet. Just type yes in the chat box if you're able to see my Excel sheet. I want to make sure that I'm sharing the right screen window. Okay, all right. If you look at this Excel sheet, this is a very simple revenue forecast versus actuals file where a retail company for the month of June has store-wise store sales, right? There's a forecasted revenue and there is an actual revenue. Online sales, there's a forecasted revenue and actual revenue. You notice that the forecasted revenue was 15.2 million and the actual revenue ended up being 13.6 million. So which means that revenue is missed by $1.6 million. Now, what could be the reasons? There could be price drivers, volume drivers, mixed drivers as well, right? So we saw the forecasted units, but we actually ended up doing these units. This was the forecasted average selling price. We actually ended up doing this as an actual selling price, right? So there could be price variance, there could be volume variance, there could be mix variance as well. So let's understand now in even a small file like this, if I have to prepare a variance analysis along with the commentary, waterfall charts and everything, it could easily take half an hour for me to understand, prepare all of that neatly, right? But let's see what AI can do for us. Okay, so I'm using this tool called Manus AI. Okay. I pasted the same file here in Manus AI and said that, okay, study the Excel sheet. And from the Excel sheet, can you build a waterfall chart to explain the revenue variance? Use price, volume, and channel mix for your analysis. Also, give me 3 to 4 bullet point sharp executive summary along with the waterfall chart. Okay, very simple prompt. Yeah. So whenever you're giving a prompt, a quick hint is first you give it a character, then you give some context, and then you can give the specifics. The character here would be that you can also add a line by saying act as an expert FP&A professional, okay, or act as an expert CFO, whatever the character you want to give. And then you can say, sometimes you might give some specifics as well, or the context as well, that uh, here I want to build a revenue waterfall or a variance analysis, right? That's the context. And then you can give some specific instructions as well. Like here I've given specific instructions using price, volume, channel mix. Similarly, you can give any other set of instructions also, which will be very specific. Use your knowledge about healthcare industry if you're talking about healthcare industry. So whatever specific information you want to give, you can share that as well. So then Manus said, okay, got it. I'll analyze the Excel sheet, blah, blah, blah. It is processing all of this. Again, this is Manus working on its own. It is read and analyze Excel file with Python. So it is using Python on its own, which we have no clue about. Right? So it is doing all of that analysis, and then the analysis is complete. It is giving me an executive summary where, if you remember, the revenue underperformance was by 1.6 million, volume decline, significant price erosion in online channel. It is giving me all this commentary on its own, along with some charts as well. And then I said, okay, give me one slide executive presentation for this, for the CFO, right? So it said, okay, I'll create a one slide executive presentation. It gave me the slide outline. And then finally, the slide outcome was ready. Okay. So the slide looks something like this. Let me just quickly share this with you. I don't know why my PC is slow today. So this is how the slide looks like. So nicely formatted slide with the next action title as well. 1.6 million revenue shortfall driven by volume decline and pricing pressure. And see, I did not instruct anything. It gave the breakup on its own. Out of the 1.6 million, it says 0.91 is because of the volume effect. Volume decline across channels, especially online channel. Price effect is 0.68 million. Online average sales price erosion of minus 12.8%. Mix shift, because of the mix, the online revenue mix, right? So the store's revenue has been higher compared to the online revenue. We had actually anticipated higher online revenue. So the mix decline is from 37.5% to 32.4%. It's giving critical insight. Online channel accounts for 81% of the total revenue shortfall. So basically 1.3 million of the 1.6 million is coming from the online revenue channel. Now, see, all the specifics I had not shared with it, right? So it only studied the Excel sheet on its own, and it's giving me this nice waterfall chart as well with volume effect, price effect, and mix effect, along with the table and some breakdown as well, right? So this is a simple presentation. I have used Manus for much complex CFO presentations as well, much complex fine analysis as well, right? So I just wanted to give you a quick glimpse of how your FP&A role is going to change in the coming days. You will not be preparing things from scratch, right? Your company will give you tools, which will be a Claude or a Manus or a ChatGPT or whatever. Yeah, there'll be enterprise versions of these tools, and they'll tell you, hey, why are you preparing waterfall chart? Ask Manus to prepare a waterfall chart, or ask Claude to prepare a waterfall chart, right? And that's where you will need to start learning that skill set of talking to these tools and getting things done from these tools. Yeah. So this is a quick glimpse about one of the use cases of agentic AI, which is basically generating a revenue waterfall. And let me just come back. Let me close this. I'll show you another use case in Manus AI. So since Manus was actually publicizing that it is close to agentic AI, it can do things autonomously. So I thought, okay, let me put it to test and see if it can actually do some accounting for me. You know, so I said, okay, how about linking my Zoho Books account? Zoho is an accounting ERP, right? How about linking my Zoho Books account to my Manus AI? Okay. And I was actually able to link I sat about 1.5 hours, understood all the API documentation key and everything. And I linked my Manus AI with my Zoho Books account. So I have my Zoho Books account here. If you see, this is my Zoho Books account. Okay. So this is my Zoho Books platform. This is my accounting ERP. Again, this is a dummy company. Okay. So where I have my sales, I have my purchases, all the reports, P&L, balance sheet, everything is here. Okay. And then what I did, I started testing if I can use Zoho Books to pass accounting entries. Okay. So let me quickly show you some historical entries. And I also show an FP&A example. For example, I said, raise an invoice on Veronica for accounting advisory services for AED 3750 dated 5th of March 2026. Okay. I said, okay, I'll create a new customer code for Veronica, raise this invoice. It started giving me in all these steps. And then it says invoice created and posted. Okay. Accounting entry is also posted. And then I can go ahead and cross check here. So there is a invoice in Veronica's name in my Zoho books, okay, on the 5th of March. So it was posted on its own. You can see that the invoice is the standard format. You can give more details. You can give more details about the credit period, about where the customer is, customer address, all of that. Even the customer master. You can upload 10 customers and say create customer master. Then it'll create as well. So that's how agentic AI is progressing, where it posted an accounting entry, the sales entry on its own. Okay. So this is where I was able to connect Manus AI with Zoho Books and then pass expense claim entries, accounting entries. So I've been experimenting with this as well. So this is your future, guys. So tomorrow, no matter what ERP you are going to use, whether you're using SAP, Oracle, whatever, QuickBooks, whatever you are using, right? You will come up with AI agents either externally or embedded within a Zoho Books or your SAP, where you will start talking in natural language and then getting things done from these tools. You don't need to remember those key codes and account, go inside the account, pass 10 different type of parameters, right? All of that will go away and natural interaction with your system will be prominent. Yeah. Then I said, okay, if it can link with Zoho Books, okay, and pass an accounting entry, then can it do some FP&A for me? Yeah. So what I did, I created a simple budget file, okay, a simple revenue budget file where I said, okay, test budget file. Okay, where I said in 2025, October, November, December, I posted some invoices. Like for example, let's say for Asif, I'm going to raise an invoice. For a picture, I'm going to raise an invoice. Okay, and my total budget is 17,500, 17,500 dirhams in this case. Okay, so it's a UAE based company. So I pasted this budget file and I said, can you pull sales register from my Zoho books for the year 2025 and compare it with the budget sheet attached? Act as an expert FP&A analyst and give me a sharp one slide CFO level slide to explain the variances between actuals and the budget. So I said, on it, I'll pull the data from 2025 from Zoho books, from the ERP, right? It is able to pull all of that data and then compare it with this budget file. Now, I don't need to even paste this file. I can also link Manus with my Google Drive through an API key. And whatever budget file is there in that Google Drive, it will automatically tick it and then compare it with the report generated from Manus. It can do that as well. Okay. But I chose to give it the Excel sheet manually. Okay. Then it started comparing all of that. It gave me a graph, okay, but it gave me some random bar chart which I did not like. Although the commentary was nice, okay, and it was able to pick up the numbers correctly, right? So the budget was 17,500, but the actuals was actually 12,000 dirhams. So it was able to pick the numbers correctly, but I didn't like this particular chart. So then I said, okay, it gave me some information as well. Then I said, can you give me the slide again with a waterfall chart? Because whenever you're comparing a variance, a waterfall chart is easier to interpret, right? So waterfall chart and instead of a standard bar chart. And I said, okay, I'll update this slide with the waterfall chart. Okay. And then it finally gave me a updated waterfall chart, which looks something like this. In a beautifully designed waterfall chart, my budget is actually 17,500. My actuals is 12,000. Okay. There is shortfall on Asif as a customer account. Okay, I was supposed to invoice him more, but I'm invoicing him less by 1,500. Again, the other customers as well. Now, this is giving a customer level waterfall chart because the budget itself was prepared customer wise. You can prepare SKU wise, you can prepare unit wise, you can business unit wise, whatever you prefer. And then it gave the nice commentary also, which is nice. Yeah, which is prompt. And then the design, the overall design was great as well. Now, this is a basic experiment with some basic prompts. Again, there is Manus can handle much more complex tasks than this, and I've used it for much more complex tasks also. In the limited time that we have, I quickly wanted to show you one quick example of how Manus AI was actually able to connect to ERP, pull the data, compare it with a budget sheet, and give me a one slide CFO style presentation for various analysis. Okay. So I hope you are getting a glimpse of how your role is going to change in the coming days, right? So you will not be remembering Excel formulas anymore. You will not be focusing on, um, you know, Excel sheets anymore or remembering Excel formulas and complex VLOOKUPs, right? System will remember that for you. Claude Excel will do that. Claude Excel add-in will do that for you. ChatGPT Excel add-in will do that stuff for you, right? So all you need to think about right now is to start learning to interact with these tools and get things done from them. Okay. Whatever you're doing right now, follow that habit that don't start putting a manual formula on your own. Don't start working on a manual Excel sheet on your own. Just think about, okay, can some tool do this for me right now? That's the basic mindset shift that you will have to start adopting yourself. So we saw the variance analysis commentaries case where I showed you the budget versus actuals number. And then I also showed you autonomous accounting and reporting in Zoho, right? Now here we uploaded the budget sheet and then asked it to pull a certain data and then compare it and give me a one style CFO style presentation. Now I can set this as a cycle, right? After every month close, I'm just going to tell Manus that I have closed my books. Manus will automatically pull out everything, do the variance comparison, and give me the report as well. Okay, so that is an agentic AI capability that I wanted to demonstrate. Now, tomorrow there'll be some other tool. Your company may adopt some other tool, but the functionality of an agentic AI remains the same, right? It is autonomously able to do certain tasks. So that's a quick demo for you. Okay. Now, now this is a glimpse that I wanted to give you to understand how your role is going to change in FP&A. Now, how as leaders you need to start thinking about FP&A and start implementing or adopting AI in your company in the FP&A function. There are four key pillars for your AI to be successful in FP&A. First is the data foundation, right? Your data is everything. If you don't have strong data, then no AI tool or no automation tool can help you, really, right? So AI, along with strong, robust governance, is data with strong, robust governance is what is important. Then comes talent, right? You have the best tools, but your people are not trained to use them. Then they cannot do anything with it, right? So talent and data will have to go hand in hand, right? And then your technology strategy, whether you want to buy stuff, whether you want to build stuff internally, whether you want to adopt a SaaS platform, right? All of those things are your decisions that you may have to take in terms of technology stack, and then start piloting with certain smaller business units or smaller companies inside the company. Yeah. And then finally comes the risk and governance, right? For example, let's say I am a payroll manager for a software company which has 4,000 employees. Now I want to adopt AI in my functioning. Simply, I have, let's say, a ChatGPT style enterprise version of ChatGPT. Okay. And now link this with all my payroll related folder. Now I can give a quick prompt and say, hey, ChatGPT, can you pull out, can you go through these files and pull out all those employees who got more than 5% increment last year? Now, right now, I have to do this stuff manually, but I can give this command and then the tool can actually browse it and then give me that information and I can verify as well. Okay. Now, here I'm acting as a payroll manager. What happens in enterprise AI, especially in terms of risk and governance, is I need to make sure that when I am using an enterprise version of a chat GPT or any AI tool, okay, the access comes first. As a payroll manager, I should not be able to access some other business unit's information. Or let's say you're a corporate FP&A person and you don't have access to the payroll and you're dependent on the payroll manager. As a corporate FP&A, when you log into your enterprise version of ChatGPT or any other AI tool, you should not see that the payroll data is available for everybody to access, right? So the governance and the access levels of what you see in a typical ERP or an EPM tool will all be replicated in that AI environment as well. Yeah. So if I'm logging into my ChatGPT, like how you log into your OneDrive or your SharePoint, right? Similarly, you will be logging into that and you'll have only access to that particular tool in that particular environment. Yeah. So that is important from a risk standpoint. When you are implementing AI as leaders, you need to make sure that people are not using this tool to dig some information inside the company, which they're not supposed to look at. Yeah. So that is where the governance pillar comes into play. So these are the four pillars. Now, what happens, if one of these four pillars are not right? Okay. So if you don't have the right kind of data, but let's say you have trained talent, you have technology, and you also have figured out the risk and governance, still there'll be hallucinations and flawed insights. Why? Because your underlying data is not correct. Let's assume that you have data, you have all the best technology, you spent a lot on technology, and you have figured out the risk and governance, but you don't have the talent, the right kind of talent, or you have not done the adequate trainings for that talent to use this fantastic tool that you have bought. Yeah. So that is where low adoption comes in. It becomes an expensive shelfware. People will again start downloading reports and using Excel to do that. If you have data, you have talent, and you also figured out the risk metrics, but you're not empowering them with the right kind of technology. Then you got the best tech-focused FP&A person out there, but you're not giving him the right kind of tools. Then what happens? There'll be scaling bottlenecks. Manual processes will continue. You're not able to adopt technology in the right way. Okay. And then finally, if you have data, talent, and tech, but your governance is missing, the same example that I gave you, everybody will be able to access some data. There'll be compliance breaches. You don't know what the agentic AI is acting in which other department autonomously, right? So the risk frameworks are extremely important, right? So all of these four pillars are equally important for AI to be successful in FP&A or any finance function for that matter. Okay, so that is why it is imperative that all of these four things converge at the right point in time. You can't say that I'll only, in the next 6 months, I'll only focus on AI technology, I'll buy the tool and I'll not train my staff. Or you cannot just say that I'll buy the tool, I'll train my staff, I'll figure out the governance later. No, right? So the process, data, technology, talent, all of them have to be worked on simultaneously. And then within 6 to 12 months, you will reach somewhere with AI, right? It's not going to be as simple as taking a tool and plugging it here and there. Yeah, that's the point that all of us need to remember as FP&A professionals, as leaders. On the other side of things, this will also protect you as an individual contributor. You know that taking AI and putting it as a plug and play tool and everything will be automated. People will lose 100,000 jobs. It might not happen immediately. You still have a lot of work to do in terms of convergence. Till that time, you have a first mover advantage to learn all the AI tools, because already we have started seeing job descriptions where they're asking for AI tools. They're asking whether you know Claude inside Excel, whether can you build financial models using Claude. So all those kind of things have started coming in job descriptions today. Okay, so the convergence imperative, that's what all of us as FP&A leaders need to keep in mind. Yeah. So now that you have some understanding about integrating AI in FP&A, so you realize how amazing it would be if you learn all the skill sets for future ready FP&A functions. How does it feel if you are actually prepared to grab those AI driven FP&A opportunities? Because transformation is coming. 2026 is going to be the pivotal year for finance. From now on, the finance function is not going to be the same, right? 2027, the job descriptions will change, right? Everybody will stop asking for your basic Excel knowledge. They will start asking for knowledge about AI tools, your Power BIs, your Tableaus, your Pythons. Yeah, that's what is going to change. Now, what we have done over the last 3 years, that's called the Certified Global FP&A program. It's a global FP&A certification built and delivered directly by CFOs and FP&A leaders. It has 10 comprehensive modules, which I'll talk about it in a while. Everything through real life looking like data simulations. What you saw was just a trailer. We cover far complex examples in the CGFP course as well. You'll also be part of a global alumni network. So CGFP program has been taken by students from more than 25 countries so far. You'll get sessions with a personalized career coach, placement support with your resume review, interview preparation. We've also started slowly building some recruiter tie-ups, employer tie-ups, right? We also have our own portal called fpnajobs.com. Right? Again, I don't want to overpromise, but we're trying to do everything which is in our power to help our students get placed. Many of them have been able to land FP. Many of them have been able to implement a lot of things that they've learned in the program in their work as well. Okay, access to monthly Q&A sessions where you can clarify any doubts with the faculty directly. Access to external speaker sessions. Every month, we bring in globally a top CFO, a top FP&A expert, or a digital transformation expert, or some new AI tool or FP&A tool provider in the market so that you are updated with everything that is happening there in the real world in terms of your latest use cases. Right. And all of this happens seamlessly through a best-in-class online LMS. Live sessions are conducted on Zoom, right, on Saturdays and Sundays. So you can take it from the comfort of your home by spending a few hours every week. In the CGFP curriculum, so what do we cover in the CGFP curriculum? There are 10 comprehensive modules. Okay. So it starts with introduction, basics of FP&A, understanding what FP&A roles are, how FP&A role is different from accounting. We share with you calendars, frameworks, so that you understand the basics of FP&A roles. Then we dive into budgeting and forecasting, all the budgeting methodologies, techniques, different ways of budgeting, different sector examples, different components of the budget as well, like revenue budget, cost of goods sold, headcount, uh, marketing budgets. All of those things are covered in budgeting and forecasting, driver-based planning, right? Incremental budgets, top-down. All of these different kind of forecasting techniques are covered in the budgeting and forecasting module with real-life examples across multiple sectors. Then AI for finance and FP&A. Again, all the solid use cases for AI inside FP&A, whether it is preparation of budget or variance analysis or retrieving certain document or doing complex analysis, building a financial model, all of that is taught within using AI, using Claude, using ChatGPT, using Manus and other tools inside the AI for FP&A module. Management reporting. Can management reporting is not just about preparing a month-end reporting pack, right? So there are multiple things in management reporting, your profitability analysis, different kind of performance management frameworks like a balanced scorecard, your KPIs, your OKRs, all of those come under the management reporting, where you learn everything step by step through real life use cases. Then financial modeling. Again, financial modeling not related to investment banking or valuations. This is specifically to FP&A, where you're learning revenue models, cost models, scenario planning, sensitivity analysis, business model canvas. All of these things are covered in financial modeling, which is again specific to FP&A. Then comes introduction to data analytics. One thing is for sure, you will be dealing with large sets of data in your FP&A roles, whether it is financial data or operational data. So that is where we are teaching you basics of Power BI, Power Query, Tableau, and now from the current cohort, we have also introduced Python and Tableau. SQL also we have been teaching, right? So all these data analytics tools, at least we don't make you an expert in these tools, but at least we take you to a level where you're comfortable to start using these tools in your day-to-day FP&A roles. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. You might think that, okay, I need to spend 40 hours to learn Python. No. Okay, whatever is specific to FP&A, you can learn it in probably 8 to 10 hours. Right? So that's what we cover in the data analytics module. Then financial analysis. Again, financial analysis is not just restricted to ratio analysis. There are a number of different kind of financial analysis that you might be required to do from a CFO standpoint internally within the company. Right? It could be profitability analysis, variance analysis, horizontal, vertical analysis, margin mix analysis. There could be different kind of analysis, and we cover all of those with real life examples. Storytelling and presentations. Yes, we as finance professionals are great at analyzing 10,000 lines of Excel sheets. But how do we communicate that as an insight, as a story with a strong narrative to the business teams? That is what is storytelling and communication, right? So we are covering all the storytelling best practices, communication best practices, presentation best practices. How do you build a narrative? Which level of management requires what level of information? All of that is shared in the storytelling and presentations module. Strategy, again, strategy is a very interestingly positioned module. As and when you start becoming senior, right, your company or your CEOs or your C-suite will start talking in a certain strategic language. And that is where you cannot use strategy terms in a very loose way. So we're covering all the popular strategy frameworks, like say like a BCG metrics or a pestle analysis or a VRIO analysis. There are multiple different frameworks, more than 10 to 12 different strategic frameworks. And we also show you how FP&A is linked to these strategic decisions. Yeah. And then comes business partnering through good 7 to 8 use cases that Asif and I have done in our careers. We are actually showing you how you can collaborate with HR, with the CEO, with operations, with supply chain through practical examples. Because business partnering is all about enabling the business teams to make decisions. It's all about your business acumen. It's all about your ability to build strong cross-functional relationships. So that is what is the CGFPA program, and that has 10 comprehensive modules as well. Okay. Then comes what is a C program all about? It has 50 plus examples, 10 plus activities, frameworks. We cover all these tools that I mentioned, right? In terms of AI tools, we're covering all these tools. In terms of data analytics tools, we're covering all these tools as well. And in the end, there is a guided capstone project as well. So we've tried our best to kind of give you near working like exposure in FP&A, because FP&A is very experiential learning, right? You cannot learn it or you cannot write a 10 marks essay and then clear an exam and then become an FP&A professional. You have to do different kind of modeling. You have to do different kind of budgeting and forecasting using techniques. Yeah. So that's what is the CGFPA advantage. Now, what is the eligibility for your for the CGFPA course, right? So you need to have a minimum of a bachelor's degree or a globally current in finance, accounting, or business. Alternatively, you may have professional qualifications like CA, CPA, ACC, or any equivalent accounting qualification of your respective country. Yeah. So we are also CPD UK accredited. Students will have to attend at least 50% of the classes live, right? So Saturday is the core module, which is from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. And then the next course is starting in June. So Saturday is the core module and Sunday is the tool track. So the core modules are compulsory. Tool tracks are optional, although recommended. But the core modules are compulsory, which are on Saturdays, the 10 modules that I showed you. Okay. And those classes happen on Saturdays from 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. IST. And you need to attend at least 50% of the classes live. Submit a capstone somewhere in month number 5 or 6. Again, it's an optional capstone, but we recommend you to do it. Once you do that, you are eligible for the final examination. The final examination is 2 hours live proctored online examination, which has 100 marks, 50 questions, multiple choice questions examination. And once you complete that examination with at least 50% passing marks, you get the CGFP certificate from FP&A Professionals Institute. So that's the CGFP award. The course fee for a course like this, which can easily fast track your career by a few years, the investment in this program is USD 1795. There's also an option to pay over 5 months. The total duration of the course is 6 months, where Saturdays and Sundays you'll be attending live classes, and about 45 to 60 minutes of your own time investment might be required, because sometimes you might share some homework, sometimes you might share some pre-reading material for you to come prepared in the classroom. So about 5 to 6 hours of weekly commitment is required. Okay, so the next cohort is starting on the 13th of June 2026. Live sessions will be on Saturdays and Sundays for 2 hours. So the date that you need to remember is 25th of May 2026. That is when the second round of applications are closing. One round of applications have already closed for cohort 9. Again, this is the ninth cohort. Okay. So 25th of May is when the second round of applications are closing. The application process is completely free of cost. What I would recommend is you at least fill in the application, at least go through the brochure, fill in the application. Once you fill in the application, our academic counselors will check the eligibility and then they'll share it with you. They might also share with you any ongoing offer at that point in time. You can ask for demo lectures. You can ask for any previous alumni phone numbers to verify whether how they found the program. Again, there have been tons and tons of testimonials. Many of them have been able to land FP&A roles. Many of them have been able to implement a lot of things that they've learned in the program as well. So you can talk to any of our participants and then tell you how the program has been for them. Yeah. So fpnajobs.com is again our initiative to bring opportunities to you. So make sure that you are able to create a detailed profile on fpnajobs.com. Many times we have seen that students just subscribe to the job alerts and they don't create their own detailed profile. So we recommend you to create a detailed profile on fpnajobs.com. Hopefully your next opportunity will come from fpnajobs.com. All right. So before I get into questions, let me quickly share with you two things. One is the CGFPA course link, which I'm sharing it in the chat box. Okay, so this is where you can download the brochure and also, yes, I'm taking all the questions, guys. Please have patience. Okay. This is where you can download the brochure and complete your application as well. And as promised, I have to also share with you the bonus, right? So just give me a second. Let me look at the Claude use case bonus. Okay. I'm also sharing the bonus link in the chat box. So this is where you can find all the Claude inside Excel for FP&A use cases with all the video instructions, download and practice files, everything you can get through prompts and everything you can get in this document as well. So I've shared that in the chat box. Make sure that you are able to download it. Thanks, everyone. Have a great evening. Bye bye.
Thank you.